video we talked about app service plan, what it is and what all features it provides, what are the different kind of pricing tier, and what all apps can we run together and things like that. Today it's the second part for the app service plan, or the third part for the web app, and in this video we are going to discuss the cost for the app service plan. Okay, as we see, there are like three different kind of pricing tier, and each of them has a further segregation. So today we will try to understand how actually the cost works with the app service plan. Okay, so let me start with this. Okay, so cost. All right, so in shared we talked about free and shared. There are like two categories in the shared pricing tier, and out of these two categories, free is, you say, as the name says, is free, but shared, or let's say any other plan except free, let me write it down, except free, any other plan has to pay hourly price. Let's understand how things changes as the plan increases and the other features which are involved. Okay, so free is free. Let's talk about the next one, which is shared. Okay, in shared, each app services have some quota. Okay, that is CPU quota. Okay, there is CPU minutes, and each app is charged hourly for the CPU quota. Okay, here hourly for CPU quota. Now, if we talk about dedicated right here, this dedicated that we talked about, we had basic, standard, premium, and premium version 2 that's in preview. How pricing defines or decides here how the cost impact. So in this service plan, we define number of VM instances. Okay, it could be scaling out or scaling in. So on this particular plan, it's hourly charged on the VM instances scaled. Okay, hourly charged on VM instances scaled. Okay, it doesn't matter how many apps are running on those VM instances, right? We talked about it in the last video where we talked about this, how the scaling happens, right? In basic, standard, and premium under dedicated, you may have multiple apps running on the same service plan. They are consuming the resources from the same app service plan, which in you do not have the access, but in reality they are VMs or compute resources are running at the back end, and these web apps which are sharing the same plan is consuming from the same compute resources, right? So you're paying for the compute, you're not paying for the number of apps. All right, so let's talk about isolated, how isolated is hourly. So the app service environment defines the number of isolated workers that you run on your apps, and each worker is charged hourly. And along with that, you also have to pay some base fee hourly for your isolated compute, isolated tier. Okay, so that's how the cost is applied on these plan of app services. But this is just compute we talked about as of now. Now, what about the features which are involved? So it's not like you're paying for all the features, but for example, custom domain. Okay, you're not paying for custom domain until you're purchasing it, right? Same goes for uh, app service certs. You're not paying for the certs until you're purchasing it, right? But you're paying hourly for IP based TLS connections. Okay, uh, so that's how it is applied. The features, if you're not using, the cost is not involved or not upon you. But if you're using it, then you have to pay for those features. Okay, these are like the independent features that you can utilize with your app service plan. So, for example, if you want to use custom domain and you're running a free plan, you are not entitled to use this feature. So to use this feature, first of all, you need to uh, enhance your plan or increase your plan, go to shared and use this feature. Okay, so you're paying for the shared plan so that you would have this custom domain feature. That's how it works. Okay, all right. So what if my app needs more capabilities or features? As I said, if you're running on the free, suddenly you need a custom domain, then you have to increase your plan to shared. Okay. Same goes with the other features. For example, deployment slots. You need a deployment slots for your application for blue and green deployment. You need to choose your plan accordingly. Or app service plan can be scaled up and down at any time. So that is the whole story. It can go up and down. Okay, it is simple as changing the price tier of the plan. You can choose a lower pricing tier at first and scale up later when you need more app service features. Okay, you can start with the free tier once you are like, I'm okay, I'm confident, my services are well. Now I want to add the custom domain. You move to the shared. Once you think, yes, it is also working fine, now I want to involve certificates or the deployment slots, you can go to basic standard. So that's how you can scale out for your service plan. And if you feel like I'm done with my maybe testing, or maybe you want to get back to the free, you can scale it down. Okay, that's very simple to do. Nothing like you cannot scale back or things like that. Okay, now there there is a question that always come with respect to the service plan. Should I put an app in a new plan or an existing plan? Well, as I said, you are not paying for the number of apps you are running in a plan, but you are paying for the compute resources which are getting involved. For example, hourly VM instance is scaled. Okay, so yes, of course, if you have the space, enough space or enough CPU or compute power in your plan that your new application it can handle your new application, it can cater your new request, then you can run in the same. Else you need to run a new plan. That's a like basic idea behind it. But if we need to talk about in what situations we need to create a different plan, it is more like if your app is more resource intensive. Let me write here, isolated plan, though you can run together, right? We talked about that. Now here we are trying to understand in what situations we need to create a different plan to run our apps. For example, if our app is uh, resource intensive, so of course you don't want any downtime for the other applications that running and not for this one, so you would choose the isolated plan. Or if you want to scale the app independently from the other apps in the existing plan, as I told you, in the dedicated model, when there is a scale out, it happens with on the VMs. Doesn't matter whether your app 1 need it or not. If your app 2 or maybe app 3 needs it and all the 3 apps are running on the same dedicated, then VM will increase it will scale up. Doesn't matter whether one of the app needed or not. If any of the app needed, it will scale up. Okay, so if you want to scale the app independently from the other apps in the existing plan, okay, maybe one of the app is, as I said, in too much of demand or highly intensive, and you know rest 4 apps are not like that, but this app will definitely scale and scale down, scale out and scale in, and other apps doesn't need it, so you'll go for the independent uh, from the other apps. Okay, all right, the app needs resources in the different geographical region. That's the kind of prerequisite. Different geographic regions. All right, maybe as I said at the beginning, if you remember here, we need to select the region. If your app service plan is running in the West US, but your new app is supposed to be run in East US, then you have to create a new plan. Okay, so this is some more information about app service plan regarding the cost, regarding the features, regarding the uh, should I put an app in a new plan or an existing one. So I think this would be helpful. We have talked about a lot many things on app service plan, and in next video we'll try to create one so that these things would, all the dots will get connected and you should not have any doubts. If there would be any, please drop a comment, and thank you for watching. You have a good day.